What's up, everybody? This is Missy from Lansing Hoops, and today I'm going to answer another question about how to be a more effective flow teacher. Today we're going to talk about how to structure a weekly class. So a couple of weeks we talked about how to schedule a series of classes over the course of a few weeks, and then before that we talked about how to teach multiple skill levels. Today's lesson is going to piggyback on those two ideas. It has more to do with how to structure each class within a week so that you as a teacher feel like you cover everything that you're supposed to cover and your students learn everything that they're supposed to learn, and they walk away being able to reproduce that, or at least well on their way. So one of the common things that I hear from flow teachers is that when they're teaching, they start to get a little off track in their topics and they end up teaching tricks that they weren't planning on teaching, or concepts that they weren't planning on teaching, or they go too long and is in one section of class and it doesn't leave enough time for something else. So my biggest tip in this area for almost every flow instructor that I meet is to teach less material in each class. I know that sometimes that can seem like a challenging concept because you're excited about what you're teaching and your students are excited about what you're teaching, and you want to be able to make that class really valuable, so you jam pack in all of the information that you can so that they feel like they really got value out of the class. The problem with that technique in teaching is that you are giving those students information that you took to learn over several weeks or several months or maybe even years, and you're packing it into one 45-minute or 1-hour class. So for that student, even though they might be excited to see all of that material and see all of the variations and all of the different tricks, you're actually doing them a disservice by teaching them so much in one sitting because they can't absorb it all. So my recommendation for any class that's 45 minutes or less is that you're teaching or planning to teach maximum 3 tricks that night. So that doesn't mean that you might not show several variations or tricks that extend from that initial trick that you're sharing, but your goal is to only start with 3 or less. In some of my classes I teach 2 or less tricks. And the reason is, in a 45-minute class, you spend 5 to 10 minutes on warm-up. You should be spending at least 10 minutes on cool down, so that's 25 minutes that you've already spent, and that only leaves 20 minutes left of class time. If you give them any time to flow and practice the tricks, that's another 5 minutes, so you only have 15 minutes left of actual teaching time. So what you need to do is make sure that you do them as a service by not overwhelming them in that 15 minutes of teaching time with trick after trick after trick that they're trying to retain and then also perfect. So as an example, if I'm teaching, let's say I'm going to teach palm spins, then when I come in that night and I'm teaching that core concept of palm spins, I'm not going to necessarily teach them this palm spin that goes in front. Oops. I don't want to teach that at all. All right, I'm not necessarily going to teach them that and this and how to go the other way and to do both hands and to do it this way and to come back. That's too much for one student to learn in one session. What I'm going to do is teach them the basic, if they don't know that yet, where they don't even let go. 1, 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3 down. And then for the students who already have that, I'm going to teach them this next basic palm spin here. For advanced students, then I will take those students individually, following the concepts that I taught in that video about teaching multiple skill levels, and teach them those more advanced tricks that I already know. But I'm not going to share that necessarily with everyone because it's too much to teach in one class. So that's the first tip for teaching a weekly class, is to limit how much knowledge you're sharing in that 1 hour. It helps the student learn, and it helps you as a teacher not feel overwhelmed like you're scattered running everywhere. So my second tip for following a weekly class is to have a very good understanding of the time frames of your class, which is what I just mentioned a couple minutes ago. If you have a 45-minute class and you know that you want to add time for warm-up in the beginning and you want to leave time for stretching at the end, then it helps to put a time limit on those things and how long you're going to spend so that the class keeps moving along. If you follow the tips in that same video about how to lay out the class week to week where you do the same things in the same order every week, it really helps with the weekly class flow. So I always start with the same warm-up, and then we always go into learning our trick, then we always go into trick practice, flow, and at the end we stretch, and in certain classes after that we meditate, and it always goes in that order. I don't switch the order because it allows me to follow the time frames that I've already set out in my head. I know I only have 5 minutes to do a warm-up. I know I only have 10 minutes to do stretch. So when I chunk my class into time blocks like that of 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, it's less overwhelming to teach the concepts that I'm trying to teach, and it also allows me to see how much or how little time I actually have to teach it. So if you like these tips, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to Lansing Hoops today. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below, and we'll see you next week.